Hi, everyone. You are watching The Self Connection with Ginny Brown and Kelly Pietro, where we have conversations with a group of ascended masters known as the Multitude of the Greater Good.
Multitude of the Greater Good is a group of ascended masters and higher energy beings who are interested in helping us become better selves on the earth plane. They are there to answer our questions and to guide us in our life and what it is that we need. They have access to information from the day of creation to the present time, plus whatever it is that you have chosen to complete in this lifetime. They are very happy to answer all of your questions and are most pleased to be of service. And I am happy that you're here. Welcome and thank you for watching.
All right. Thanks, Ginny, for being a willing channel and such a clear channel. So today we're going to kind of float around a couple topics um, without specific questions, just exploring topics. And we explored this topic once just in a little bit, I think, in an episode. I know we explored it a little bit more off camera, but I've been listening more to the podcast, the telepathy tapes.
Oh, yeah.
And the podcast is very interesting, like how it's evolving and exploring a lot of the same topics that we explore. But I know for me, I'm very I guess because we explore those topics all the time, what I'm interested in learning more about are the non-speakers and um, people who I don't want to just say autistic because I think I'll just say non-speakers, right? People who are
Yes.
non-speakers and so they have a different experience in life. Um, so interested in exploring that and seeing kind of where it goes.
Okay,
All good?
that's good.
So,
We are most pleased to be able to participate in such an exploration of being as it is most helpful to us as well as to you. Do not be concerned.
oh, how is it helpful to them? I'm just curious.
Well, they learn from what we do on the earth plane.
So
They
they
are,
learn,
they are at this moment, they're ascended masters. At this moment, they're not on the earth plane.
yeah, so they're learning about the physical experience.
I would guess. I don't know. Why don't you ask them?
How, what is it, what aspects of our conversations are they most learning from?
It is important to understand that when one comes to the earth plane, one knows what one knows, and then one learns what one needs to learn. When one is on the earth plane, however, one experiences, and in spirit, we are unable to experience the experiences. And when one is on the earth plane, we learn from the experiences of each one. They are most beneficial to the person experiencing. They are also most beneficial to us as we get to understand all the emotions that are encompassed within this state of self. And we are able to understand things a bit more differently. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, it almost like the visual or the feeling I get, this is the visual I kind of get. It's like we're here on the earth plane and they're in some other dimension. And in that dimension, they can see, Kelly and Ginny and whatever the audience members, they can see us in spirit. And then they're witnessing our process through this discussion. And in that discussion, when we have these understanding moments or these emotional moments, they can see how it shifts us in spirit. And that is the learning process for them, the witnessing of how this conversation was the catalyst for this energetic shift. Is that, I'm probably only getting this much of what their experience is, but am I on the right track there?
It is important to understand that each one experiences a bit differently. Therefore, each one of us, if you were to separate us into beings, experiences a bit differently. We cannot tell you what it is that each one experiences or how it is accepted on the spiritual plane. We can just tell you that it is beautiful and each one experiences what is required. Do not be concerned.
Cool. Okay. Well, so thank you um, for that. It's a good segue into this topic because what I'm learning by listening to the telepathy tapes is like the some of the folks that they feature who are non-speakers, they have this capability of, I think, tapping into collective consciousness. That's one of the questions I have. It's like, well, what are they tapping into exactly? But so they have this capability, which gives them what we on the earth plane would probably call like vast intelligence and knowing. But then their bodies are physically, it's very difficult for their bodies to function in this physical realm in a way that uh, most of us humans would call normal or acceptable, or, they don't have, it seems like they don't have full control over their physical body. So there's like this disconnect. And yeah, so I guess let's first just ask, is there a message about that they can clarify what's going on there? Something that we should know.
It is important to understand that each one comes to the earth plane in the way that each one needs to experience the earth plane. There are those who choose to come in a state of uh, miscommunication, so to speak, in order to allow themselves to learn differently. We can tell you there are those who allow themselves great love and care in the process, and those who like shy away from experiencing. In our estimation, it is how each one chooses to experience the earth plane. We can also tell you there is a great deal of communication within each one. However, it is not earth communication. It is that communication that is available to each one when they are ready to accept it. Do not be concerned.
So would you say that these non-speakers are accessing their own knowledge that they've experienced over several lifetimes? Or are they able to tap into collective consciousness or both? Like, explain that one.
It is important to understand that each one has an ability to connect with themselves in spirit, as there is a great deal more in spirit to a person on the earth plane than there is on the earth plane. When one is able to allow themselves to connect with their knowledge, knowing, understanding, and allowing in spirit, they are able to use and collect that information for whatever experience they wish on the earth plane. We can tell you that um, much of this it's like group of people who have chosen to experience life in this way are very well connected to themselves in spirit and very much able to converse with others in the same situation, as there is no distinction or differentiation in spirit. There is only connection. Do not be concerned.
Well, I just got so, I don't know. I felt something as you were channeling that. It's very interesting. Now, and I lost my question, my follow-up question.
I think we would call it telepathic connection, but for them, it's their normal way of being on a telepathic level.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that was my question. Is that then the explanation for savant syndrome in a lot of these people is that they've done it in other lifetimes and they're open to that.
Understand, there are those who have completed the process in other lifetimes, and there are those who have chosen their journey in this lifetime as a learning experience. There are those on the earth plane who come in many directives of being, it's like kinds of experiences on the earth plane. Sometimes they come in full capacity of being, sometimes they come in limited capacity of being, and sometimes they choose a new way of being completely. There are those who have experienced this experience and choose to re-enter on that plane of being, and there are also those who allow themselves to experience a new way of being and a new way of understanding, therefore, learning as they go quite differently. Do not be concerned.
Hmm. I don't know if I fully got the answer there, but it sounds like it's nuanced.
We would like you to understand that as it is that each one brings with them to the earth plane that which they know, they are able to access it. There are those on the earth plane who choose to bring with them much knowledge and much indication of being in some areas, but not all areas. Therefore, they are quite brilliant in the area of the knowledge that they are bringing forth. However, we can tell you there are those who are in that state of being quite knowledgeable in one area that are quite unable to be or to participate in life in other areas. Therefore, they allow themselves to move forward in a learning process, in an experiencing process, and in that part of self that says, oh, this is what it's like. Oh, it's okay to be here. Oh, I've chosen correctly. In our estimation, each one comes to learn whatever it is that each one chooses to learn. Do not be concerned, all is love.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds like, in the case of savant syndrome, where like there's no explanation why someone is a genius in math or a genius on the piano or whatever in one topic or another. That perhaps that soul chose to bring all of those gifts that they mastered in another lifetime that makes for this,
In that one particular area. Yeah.
yeah, in that one particular area. But while they may have brought that in, they also are bringing in this idea of having a physical experience that is more challenging.
Yeah.
In other words, when a soul comes to this lifetime, there's different facets of life that they bring. And then there's also different experiences that they choose to have. So while, you know, maybe someone was a master pianist in one lifetime and fully physically capable, maybe this lifetime they are choosing their physical body to be challenged, but in order to help them through that process, they're bringing the master pianist aspect with them.
Well, I mean, that's what we do. We bring with us that which we know,
Yeah.
have experienced over many lifetimes, like I have channeled over many lifetimes. So each time I come, I perfect it a bit. So, when we bring that which we know, we are able to expand ourselves through that process.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I remember them explaining that once for me too. Like, yes, you've done herbalism in many lifetimes, so it's like a natural pull to go that way. And it's through that path that you might learn self-love or, uh, all these other kind of like, let's call them soft or. I don't know if they're soft skills, but the other lessons that you, or the other things you came here to learn and experience.
To
Wow.
help to help other people. I think that's a big part of it too, as we come to help other people with that which we know.
Yeah, great example. That's a good tie-in.
Uh,
Um, okay, so there was a direction I wanted to go with this. Um, oh, okay. It's the telepathic part in the. Okay, so it's not like these individuals like are because their area of communication is very much in like the telepathic realm. Does that predispose them to more easily tap into collective consciousness, maybe more so than like individuals who are speakers like ourselves, like capable of speaking?
It is important to understand that they know what they need to learn before they come. Therefore, if it is they are interested in learning on it's like an expanded level, they are able to tap into the collective. However, if it is they have come to learn more about themselves, which is 99% of the time, they come in such a way as to allow their own specific learning and learning abilities. In our estimation, it does not matter the collective to them as they are well aware of all that is on the spiritual. Do not be concerned.
Okay, so another kind of topic I'd love to explore with this is there's a term called co-regulation that I've heard a lot when I listen to the telepathy tapes, and it's talking about like the caregiver, if you will, of the non-speaker, that they are often the ones to help the non-speaker co-regulate. And I guess I want to understand that a little bit more, like how that works from a spiritual perspective, but also like what else is important for us to know with that. Like my understanding of it is because these non-speakers have such physical difficulty, it's almost like they need someone on the earth plane to like help them connect their focus on the physical plane. So like when it comes to using spellers, right? These boards that help them spell. It's almost like they need another human to help them focus in on that because their awareness is so much up in the ethers that they need like another human to like help them focus. But I think it's more than that. I think co-regulation is more than that. I think it also has to do with regulating emotional stability and I don't know. I guess I just want to know more about that.
It is important to understand that these people who choose these lives are able to accommodate themselves in many ways. However, the ability to be present in their current life and the current state of the earth plane is a learning process in itself. Therefore, they need a teacher. As a baby needs to learn to walk, a baby needs to be shown how. As a baby needs to learn to talk, a baby needs to be shown how. Therefore, many of these non-speakers that you mentioned are on the earth plane and are needing to know how to adapt to the earth energies of being and the earth's specifications of life. We can tell you they are very wise 99% of the time. They are very what one would call smart. However, they are unable to adapt to the earth's abilities of being. Therefore, we would highly recommend that you understand that they are in need of help, however, that they are quite bright and quite brilliant in many cases in their knowledge of being. Do not be concerned.
Yeah, that definitely comes through when I listen to this podcast. It's like, holy cow, there's this whole population of humans that are genius. And we've missed that.
Yeah.
Like, as a society, we've completely overlooked that. And had we not overlooked it, I think about where we could be because the level of genius we're talking about and ingenuity and understanding and deep compassion that I feel come through when these non-speakers communicate is like, it blows me away. Um, so I like to think that there's a lot in store for the future of humanity because of what non-speakers can bring to the table. Is that kind of where we're headed?
It is important to understand that it does not matter if it's speakers or non-speakers. It is important to understand that there is much to be learned in the future and much to be taught in the future. And there are very many who are capable, whether they are speakers or non-speakers, in accessing that part of themselves that allows that information to flow. Do not be concerned. All is love.
Okay, well, that's interesting, right? Because that rings true. It's almost as if though the non-speakers are showing the way, like that this is gaining like there's awareness being gained through, like the telepathy tapes and almost that these non-speakers through this podcast and other forms of exposure are kind of opening humans to the idea that like no, anyone can tap into higher realms and into your own personal genius. And if we do that, if more of us do that, then we might be able to come up with some better solutions for humanity, better way of living on this earth.
We can tell you, in our estimation, it does not matter. A speaker, non-speaker. Information is information. It flows in the way it needs to flow, and it will come to those who are open to it. Do not be concerned.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right. Um, okay. What, did you have something?
Oh, but it's getting late. I need to go.
Okay, I was gonna ask you because we didn't talk about time, but okay, Jen. So much more we can talk about that. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. This was really cool. If anyone has questions that they want to ask themselves, feel free to submit it through our websites. The links are in the show notes. Um, you can either reach out to me or Ginny on my website. There's a form where you can fill out questions. And then certainly if you have personal questions and you'd like channeled answers from Ginny, you can reach out to her directly for a one-on-one session.
Right. Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for coming and listening to our I guess my channeled information as um, the multitude is always happy to add it and speak with you. But I also wanted to say that when it is that each one is allowing each one, and this has got to be the multitude, and it is that each one is allowing each one's own self to be who one is. There is a great deal that can be expressed, a great deal that can be learned, and a great deal that can be taught. And at this moment of our being and this moment of your being, the process is that in which one can help oneself and one can help others. There is a great deal to be learned throughout that process. It is important to understand that each one has the ability, each one has the capability, and each one is able to move oneself along. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, everyone. I,
Thanks.
I hope you'll join us next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.